fence. It doesn't go into the other person's property. It's on the line, you know? And if the fence falls down, it's up to you to put the fence back up. So when family and friends are not paying attention to your boundaries, let's say it's about an issue, they want to talk bad about your boyfriend. You say, you know, every time you talk about my boyfriend, I feel really uncomfortable. If you continue, you know, I hope you observe my boundary, but I know you don't have to because I'm not in charge of you. But if you start talking about him again, I really am going to hang up the phone or leave the room. And now the important thing is to do it, but to do it lovingly. So let's say they do it, and you're like, you know, I'm so sorry to have to do this. It's not how I want to handle it. I would prefer if you would just not talk about him at all, but now I'm actually going to step away. I'll be back in 4 minutes.
Slap the fire you.
What?
Just slap the fire.
I'm going to have to fire you?
No, not fire, slap the fire.
Well, I think the thing is
I'm
like,
kidding.
the temptation is to go all or nothing. Like, I'll amputate you. You know?
That sounds cool.
But that's not really, then you're just going to have a lot of spare parts in your life. You know what I mean? Because people have a terrible time with boundaries.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a terrible time with boundaries.
Really?
Sometimes. I mean, if I really want to say something, over the holiday I said to my son who's 22, I'm like, would you feel comfortable if I said, because we had gone to this event and I wanted to talk about it after, and I said, would you feel comfortable if I said a little something about that event? And he goes, probably not. Okay, because my son has been raised with me. He has boundaries. So he's basically like, no, I don't want to talk about that. I'm like, but I really just want to say this one sentence, you know? And I'm like, okay, I hear that. I would really like to say this one sentence. Would that be okay? And he's like, yes. But I'm just a human, and I had something I wanted to say, you know? I just know well enough, I have enough of a practice to perform the right action. And I think that's really true about relationships. You don't have to feel right, you just have to act right.
Ah,
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
You have to just know what to do and do it, whether the feeling
Yeah,
is
right
giving you permission to do it or not.
We were just arguing.
And if you can act right, a fairly high percentage of the time, like 2/3 of the time, everything in your life, like your partner will be happier. And you will be happier also as a result.
Yeah, again, these
This
things.
stuff is relational. That means it's two people. Two people create it, two people fix it. It's really two people. It's never just one, you know? So. Okay. Being busy, what do you do for self-care, and how should one dress on a first date?
Ooh.
Okay.
Good question.
Well, so for a first date, let's take that part first. I think it depends on where you're going. I'm not going to suggest that anybody is trying on a first date. I just want you guys to just stop trying on a first date. You don't need to try. If it's happening, it'll just going to happen because you showed up.
Oh.
Truly. So what I want you to do on a first date is to be a friend, to be a kind person. Because you know, that other person, here's the thing, when you come in with a list and you're like, checking it twice, and yeah, I don't want it to be like this. Ooh, I'm into it. I don't like it. I like it. I don't like it. I don't want you to have a conversation where every single thing out of the person is like, oh, this is my husband. Oh, no, that's not even. Okay, because that's either like wanting or judgment. And neither of those is going to create a good relationship. Here's what creates a good relationship. I'm going to show up. I'm going to be aware, be present, and I'm going to be vulnerable. Just going to be. Hi, friend. Who are you? I don't know you. Let me see if I can be a loving presence in your life for the next 20 minutes. Because see, I think that first date should only be a 20-minute coffee.
At least
20 minutes.
Why 20 minutes?
Because you don't need to, all you need to do on that first thing, see, my take is this. That whole, especially with the apps, it's all a process of elimination. So you're eliminating at the swipe, and this is not to be rude, this is just being real, you know? It's like, you're eliminating at the swipe, you're eliminating at the texting, If you do a phone call, you're eliminating at the phone call. And then when you meet them, that's when you get to the point where the relationship used to start. When you met, by the time you did all that, you finally get to the place where a relationship used to start. And then doesn't take you a whole dinner to figure it out. It takes a 20-minute, you're like, and you know when they turn around and you see them, you're like, oh, okay. Or you're like, oh no. I mean, or you're like, oh, what a nice person, but no. You know? So it's like, I think that first one should be short. Now if that works out, it'll go longer.
Okay.
And if it goes a little longer, then you know, okay, there's another thing. All right, that's when you go. Now, I'm also going to suggest that you don't go have a dinner. I'm going to suggest that you go on a walk or a hike or something where you're moving and doing something. It's just a much easier way to get to know somebody without all that pressure of all that eye contact. And then you're also not in anything, like you don't have to dress sexy. There's no drinking involved. It just allows you to get to know this person as a person. Because ultimately, being a person is what it's about. Because sooner or later, they are going to know you as a person. You might as well start at the beginning.
Great advice.
I always felt that your first date should be during the day.
Agreed.
The expectations of doing the date at night is, am I going to kiss?
Oh, no.
This is going to happen. But if you're doing something during the day,
right,
that expectation's not there.
And honestly, I wouldn't suggest behaving sexy in any way. I mean, I'm just like,
Oh, I'm just playing.
Some of these dates last 24 hours.
well, and I'm not judging.
That's
See,
a
I don't
sleepover,
really
that's
care
not a
what
date.
people
Right.
do. I'm just saying if you want to build, it's like, have you ever redone your floors in a house? You got to put the stain on, wait 24 hours, put the varnish on, wait 24 hours, because there's a process, and if you try to dump all the stuff on at once, it gets sticky and it just doesn't last for the long haul, you know? But on the other hand, I always say, look, if you had, I speak to women a lot, but if you had a really good dad who came home for dinner every single night at 6 o'clock and was like a really good man, you can probably marry a stranger and go off to Vegas right now. It's because you are not reenacting. What you're going to reenact is a really good guy who comes home at 6 o'clock. That's what you're attracted to. That's what your match is. That's what feels right to you. Now, if your dad is like my dad, a pimp and a drug dealer, it's like, you better slow down. You know what I mean? It's like, I just met him. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is him. Because you pull back the curtain, you're like, oh, hi, Dad. It's just Dad in some other outfit. You're like, okay. So it's never the outsides that you're looking for. You got to know, if you're attracted to him, he's coming from you. That's what it's about. You know?
Okay, guys, so we're almost out of time.
See, we could do this all day.
Right.
So we only have time for like one more question.
We actually
so
need
this
this advice.
question answered, and you're just dying to have it answered.
But the self-care, you know.
Oh yeah, the self-care. So, to me, self-care when it comes to dating and relationships is first and foremost about loving yourself. What does that mean? That means you don't abandon yourself no matter what. You go, see, a lot of times it's like you want to get tied to the look on the other person's face. You want to go up and down based on if they like you, that's how you like you, up and down. It's like you have to come from a place where it's like, me and me are in a really tight relationship and we're just like, I got you. So we're going to be walking through this entire process of dating and love relationships, knowing that no matter what happens, I have my own back. I am loving me. Especially like the child me or that vulnerable part of me. So that is number one, self-care. I don't think it's about mani-pedis. I think it's about self-talk. How do you talk to yourself? Are you loving toward you? What is that tone of voice that you are using to interact with you when somebody ghosts you? Or it turns out they didn't like you that much. Or it turns, maybe they're, you know what I'm saying? Are you like, see, you did it again? Or is there harshness in the way you're relating to yourself? Or are you loving in the way you're relating to yourself? A person who's loving themselves just takes different set of actions than a person who is either unconscious still or has not learned how to love themselves. Mostly it's about people being unconscious, you know? And here's the thing. If you're unconscious, man, dating will wake you up. You know what I'm saying? Because every person is going to be, yes, waking up parts of yourself that you're like, oh man, what is that? So I think that this is the beautiful, like, spiritual journey of dating, is that you can grow as a person in your ability to love you and other people just by showing up in a either a dating or a relationship process and seeing it as a process of learning to love more and better.
Thank you. We have to wrap, so we want to save room for photos, so we're
Okay.
gonna start on this side of the room.
Yep. So one photo, just with her by herself, and then we'll get some group shots too.